Hello, everyone. This is Old School from WhatTheBuck.net with a review of the Jaguars game this week. Bucs wrapped up the third game of the preseason with a loss to the Jaguars at Raymond James Stadium. I was with the other 37 people who watched this game, and there was a lot of stuff to be taken away from it. First and foremost, despite the fact that the score was very close, this game statistically was not close at all. There are discrepancies that are absolutely ugly. 205 yards difference in total offense, 33 more plays executed by the Jacksonville Jaguars, 21 first downs to 9, 138 yards more passing, 67 yards more rushing. Just even in attempts, if you look at the statistics, and I know statistics are, basically just stats on a sheet. They don't really tell the whole story. But when you look at them in groupings, right, beyond the score, which is, by and large the most important stat, when you only rush the ball 15 times and you're 2 of 11 on third down conversions, you got your backside whipped. Right now, fortunately for the Bucs, the defense was able to keep, by and large, the Jaguars out of the end zone until we had our thirds in there with Luke McCown coming in on a short field after a net 10-yard punt by Brett Bowden, who had a very, very rough game. They were able to really keep the Jaguars from getting those touchdowns. Barrett Root had the nice interception return on the flat route, which quieted some of his critics, despite the fact that I don't think he had a great game other than that. And Barrett's issue has never really been in coverage. It's been about attacking the ball carrier downfield. But, I wish I could come away from this game being excited, but I wasn't. There are a couple of things I thought we could be excited about. I thought Josh Johnson continued to impress. Behind an offensive line that really looked downright poor at times with Davin Joseph out with a hip flexor, we had Zuda over there filling in on the right-hand side after being demoted from the left-hand side. And what we saw was some pretty consistent pressure coming in on Josh, and we also saw no ability to get our running game untracked, whether it was Cadillac or Derek Ward or Kareem Huggins. It didn't matter. In fact, Derek Ward had probably his best game of the preseason with 2 decent runs showing some vision and some cutbacks, but nothing that we did was able to get the ball moved down the field consistently. Some nice big splash plays by Mike Williams, who continues to impress. He's one of the bright points of the game, and the bright points of the entire preseason and draft is what Mike Williams has been able to do. There's going to be a lot of discussion about Aurelius Ben and where he is in comparison to Mike Williams. Not really a fair comparison. I think we'll see what Aurelius Ben can do as we continue to progress throughout the season. At this point, many people have been commenting about Reggie Brown's lack of production in this game, where he had a chance to really kind of step up with Maurice Stovall out with his ankle injury. He did not do that. I didn't see the speed that I've heard. Now, I do understand that he's a film junkie, can play any position on the field, but when he's on the field, he better be able to catch the ball, and he wasn't able to do that, which was not good. The third down conversions I talked about earlier, if you cannot maintain possession, then this defense, which really is about and Rod talks about it. And by the way, his press conference this week I thought was outstanding. I've beaten him up a lot about press conferences, and I think that the press conference this week was outstanding. If you haven't watched it, get out there and take a look at it. But when you look at the way this defense is structured, the Bucs' fundamentals were about bend, don't break, create turnovers, and try and score points, right? And that's all about managing your position on the field and putting the offense into positions they don't want to be in. And you can't do that if your offense can't advance the ball and your punter can't get the ball back inside the 20-yard line. Now, what Bowden has shown thus far is if he gets a chance to do some directional kicking or throw some darts, he can do that. He has not shown the ability to use that leg to change the place in the field where the offense actually gets the ball, and he's also shown a propensity to shank the ball, which is just completely unacceptable. Now, with that being said, on the defensive side of the ball, we did see some things to be excited about. We saw Gerald McCoy and Brian Price both on the field at the same time, and this is something I think we'll see a lot more of. Roy Miller, I know Steve White thought he had a pretty decent game. I wasn't particularly impressed with Roy, and as I get a chance to read Steve's articles, I'll weigh in more thoroughly. But I thought our best tackle tandem was Price and McCoy when they were out there. They got some penetration and looked really good. I thought Ryan Sims looked particularly poor. Styles White showed some things and was causing some holding penalties that weren't called, which is good. He's causing some mayhem. Now, what we saw in the first 2 games on the defensive side, which was a wrinkle, was the 3-4, where you had Styles White standing up from that defensive end position as a linebacker. What we saw this week was the 3-3-5, which has been much ballyhooed now after we tweeted about it during the actual game. And a 3-3-5 really is about managing to get a nickel set in the defensive backs while keeping Quincy Black on the field. It's really a direct swap of Styles G for Quincy Black. Now, typically, at least what I saw in this particular game, was they were sending Quincy Black almost as if he was a down lineman, And we weren't getting the pressure, even though the Bucs staff did register 10 QB pressures, which is far better than we've had in the first 2 games. It's an interesting defense. Ross said in his press conference it's nothing new. They call it Redskin. Monty Kiffin implemented it, but back in the day, you weren't going to be able to take one of those 4 defensive linemen off the field because they were too productive. This does give us some flexibility, but I didn't see it actually getting us home, as they say, on the defensive side. So all in all, one of the biggest takeaways I have from this are the fundamental issues. We see guys like Geno Hayes and Quincy Black flashing. We see guys like Nico Kudavitis, despite making the interception, starting to not pan out. I don't think Nico's going to be long for this team based on what I've seen thus far. We got guys like Cody Grimm and Corey Lynch that are impressing enough they're going to stick. No matter what happens, I think they're going to stick. Myron Lewis got some playing time this week. I thought looked pretty good. That 3rd and 4th set on the defensive side looked very, very shaky when they first got in, but managed to get their back up and actually do a pretty good job despite the 1 touchdown that Jacksonville was able to score. And despite Jack Del Rio trying his best to give us 18 chances to come back with Rudy Carpenter at the helm, it just was not going to happen. But when I was talking about fundamentals, and this is my concern right now on defense, is we're throwing so many gadgets and gizmos, we're getting away from some of the basics that Tampa defense was really founded on. That was strong fundamentals, tackling, urgency, and aggression. We've got guys that are getting in position. They're in the right spot. They're hitting their gap. And when they go to shoot the gun, as they say, we're missing tackles. We're whiffing on tackles. If you can't bring the guy down, that's okay. Hold him up until the rest of the posse gets there and they can hit him. And that's not happening, right? That's got to happen. The coaching staff has got to get this defense, who are showing the athleticism that they have, that the fundamentals are not an option. They've got to go ahead and finish on those hits. So all in all, I didn't think it was exciting at all. I mean, I love the Bucs. I was at the game. I enjoyed the game, but when every stat paints this ugly picture, it's hard to look away from it. Now, David Garrard went 24 of 31 for 211 yards, 1 INT. He's in there for a long time before they sent Luke McCown in, right? We ended up with 13 of 27 aggregate, 159 for 1 touchdown and 1 interception. I think our threes went against their ones for a while, but I think as a Bucs fan, what we've got to see hopefully in this first game, because we're not going to see it in the 4th game versus the Texans. We're going to see our 3s and 4s in there, and we're going to see how they're going to separate who's going to make that final 53. But we have to hope we're going to see is some more intensity, some better fundamentals, and hopefully we'll see some of the blitzes that Ra's doing this week. We saw a number of times where we'd send a blitz and not roll our coverage. I think hopefully he is holding that too close to his chest so that people don't see what we're going to do in those situations, because these bright quarterbacks we face have been able to pick those things apart when we're not getting home. And I plan to see Ra with some more complicated blitz schemes when we get into the regular season. So another loss. It was a strong effort by the defense, but a lot of downsides. Josh Johnson looks pretty solid as a second quarterback. I think we give him a little bit more time and some run support, and we're okay. Josh Freeman apparently threw the football a little bit. He's still on track to come back for that game opener, but I think we can all sleep a little bit better knowing that Josh Johnson can fill in that second quarterback position. We do need old boy to learn how to slide, however, because when he took that hit, I think all of us had our hearts in our throats thinking Rudy Carpenter was going to be the answer. So there's your recap for the Jaguars-Bucs game this week. We'll do a preview for the Texans game coming up on this Thursday. Hopefully you enjoyed it.